Hi everybody, welcome to my channel again. Today we're going to talk about a disorder that's connected to anxiety, okay? The world we live in can be quite chaotic at times, and for a lot of people, it's not just the major things that cause chaos, but even the little intricate details that sometimes can cause chaos. And so a lot of people believe that the best way to control the world is control the details of the world. And although it's good to be detail-oriented, I know myself, I'm not exactly a really detail-oriented person. I remember when I was in business, when I was a young man, one of the things I always did was I always hired assistants who were very detail-oriented because I wasn't. I was more of a sales, marketing, people person kind of thing. But so I knew my limitations and my weakness. And the person who was detail-oriented did a good job with it. So why not let somebody take that situation? And so they kept our business running smoothly. We kept track of things, both sales and inventory, et cetera, et cetera. But a lot of times people have problems in this area. It could be that, or it could be they just want to control things. They just don't like to be out of control. I know, having retired, I've retired in the Philippines, and I know a lot of men have come from the United States, and when they get here, they want a particular woman that they can control, because they felt when they were in the United States that a lot of their divorces were because their partner got outside their control, and so the relationship ends. So when they come over here, of course, they want to be in control. Look, I don't think because the person's detail-oriented that means that they have any kind of a disorder. You know, it's okay to be detail-oriented, as I was saying. I remember watching a video of Denzel Washington. He was in a show called The Equalizer. And, I mean, they obviously were trying to show you something about him, but whenever he would go into a restaurant, he always would take the napkins and fold it out nice and smoothly in front of him. Usually napkins are used to wipe your face at the end. They're not usually something you would put down on a table. But he didn't want anything, I guess, anything to touch a table. He just didn't like that. And he also had a particular thing about his watch. He almost operated as a stopwatch. It was quirky. And there's a lot of people that are quirky out there. They have quirky habits. Does that mean he's obsessive or compulsive individual? No, not really. Now, I was telling you before in some of my videos, one of the things that really helped me was when my psychiatrist friend always told me, because I'd have questions about this. I said, do you think that this guy's OCD, Obsessive-Compulsive Disorder? He always told me, whether it's bipolar or whatever the disorder is, he always said, look for the crazy. And there's a line you cross, and usually it has to do with the area of functioning, when you're not able to function because of that. So if somebody came into my business and because they were so detail-oriented that it shut down the way we function in our business, and we, in fact, could not function in our business, then that's a disorder in the business. You want your business to be ordered, but now it's a disorder because of the person that's controlling everything. Can businesses get like that? Absolutely they can, because individuals get that way. And maybe you worked for somebody like that in the past. Sorry for you. But that's kind of how it is. So people want to try to control the world, and we know that there are some things in the world we can manage. And I want you to understand the difference of the words between managing something and controlling something. They are totally two different things. And I think, and we're encouraged from the time we're little to manage our lives. You know, like for example, be on time for work. Just the little things. We can manage those things, and we should manage those things. But when we go to control them, there's limitations to how far that is controlling it, or how can actually detail-oriented people mismanage a business because of their details. Yeah, they could. They could. So what we want to look for is we want to look for people when they get to a situation where their anxiety, because this is where it comes from, is so bad that they're attempting to control the environment to the place where the environment gets out of control. Whether it's a marriage, whether it's a business, whether it's their own lives, or the lives of those around them. They all get affected by the person who's got obsessive-compulsive disorder. The relationships don't work. They can't function under that. And so the choice is one of two choices. Either the person needs to get help for this disorder, or people have a tendency to get away from it. And frankly, my opinion is if it's a business situation, you're better off walking away, because getting rid of OCD can take some time. You've got to get to the root of what's causing the anxiety in the first place. And that sometimes takes a lot of therapy. Also, I want to at least talk about something that what I like to do. As a practicing therapist, I like to do cognitive behavioral therapy. I also like to do rational emotive therapy, because I think in a lot of times, some of the things that we consider important are not necessarily very rational, but have a lot to do with our emotions. And when we get to the bottom of this thing about control, a lot of these are emotional problems that people had. Maybe they experience a loss in their life that they've not been able to contend with. There could be a number of reasons why they get there. Maybe they experience other kind of loss of a job, loss of any kind of situation. And they said to themselves, the next time I encounter this, whatever it is, I'm going to take control of this thing. I'm going to do what I can to do that. So we look for the inability to function, inability for them to work or the work to work, inability to function at school. Some people have difficulty functioning at school because of obsessive-compulsive disorder. And I see it mostly in personal relationships. I mean, they try to rule the other person's life, try to control them. They keep track. We sometimes affectionately call OC people checkers. They're constantly checking. I work with a guy where we had trouble getting out of work at night because we had to do some counting at the end of the night. And he would count. Well, first he'd have me count, then he counted, then he counted again, then he counted again. Then when we left the building, he'd get back out of his car, go back in and count again, and double check the locks, triple check the locks, squeeze the locks, move them around. Man, it got to the point where I just said to him, look, I'm going to leave. You can go through all these, because he was holding me up. Why should I give up 5 or 10 minutes of my life because this guy isn't sure whether he locked the door or not? I mean, I can understand checking twice, but 3, 4, 5 times? I've seen this happen, and it's concerning because he radically affected the business and affected me wanting to work there. I worked with different people at night, and I was in college at the time. And I had about 3 managers, and whenever I went in when he was managing, I always had a bad night. I felt uncomfortable before the night began. I knew what I was going to go through. It was hard for me to work there, just on those nights. The other nights were great. That particular night, it was always hard. It was always hard. And I told him, I said, I'm leaving. I'm done working 9 o'clock. I'm going to walk out that door. I want to get home. That gives you a little idea. Now, suppose you're struggling with somebody like that or something like this, and he says, well, that's me. Well, maybe you're not. Maybe you don't have a full disorder yet. Maybe you're very detail-oriented. Maybe people said something to you about it. He said, Mary or John, look, you're getting out of control with this stuff. Look, don't just discard them automatically. Give yourself a chance to look at it, at least yourself. And if you're not sure whether you can make a rational decision about it, maybe you should go talk to somebody. A lot of people have come into me; they're not sure whether they have a disorder. They tell me the story, and what we do is we have a statistical manual. We can look at that, and we can determine whether they have a problem or not. I mean, besides ability to function, not ability to function, it has to be going on for a little while too. It can't be something that happened last week. I mean, it's got to be something that's been ongoing for maybe 6 months, because then we can honestly say at that point, hey, this isn't right. Something's wrong, and we can begin the act of doing therapy. Okay, and in a lot of cases, therapy might take time. You're not going to get this in one session. One of the problems I always find out between men and women is men want to nip it in the bud right away. They want to go in and have one session. We're all good now. No, you're not all good. You just began the process of getting better, because healing is a process. Well, we're not miracle workers. Well, look, if you have any questions about this, certainly, you can put some in my comment section. I'm welcome to see that, and I answer. I try to answer all my comments. At this point, I obviously can, because I'm just getting started. If you have any questions you don't want to discuss in comments, you can contact me at helpbybuzz12@gmail.com. So obviously you can reach me there as well. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you next time. By the way, it might be very important for you to hit the subscribe button. Get me going here, okay? I want to start and show some subscribers, so I can show the algorithm that I mean business and I'm good at what I do. Take care. We'll see you.